actually utilizing one of the important service called as IAM. Okay, so remember that when you create a free account on your Amazon, okay, AWS, now some people do confuse that while this particular account is free, he's asking some credit card or debit card details over there. Okay, now technically this is something which every cloud provider is doing the same strategy. Now, in order to make an authenticate clients, they are actually asking this information. However, they are not going to charge you anything at all. Till 1 year, you would be able to use a complete free services are available for you. You can enjoy those free services. However, after 1 year also, there are by default services which is completely free for you from Amazon side. You can also take the advantage of those free services after 1 year also. Correct? But technically speaking, currently the account which I am using, I have already done the free subscription. That means that has been over. After that, I use that particular free account without any charge. Currently, I'm still using that account. Still, whatever services which I'm using, it's completely free of the services. It worked fine. Maximum, there are some services which I'm using for consultation and training purpose. CloudFormation, there is a service called as CloudFront. Okay, there is a service called as AWS Code Deploy, Code Commit, okay, for the DevOps actually. Maximum charge which I got till so far after utilizing these services would be 200 rupees only. And I'm using proper services, not for just 1 or 2 hours. I'm using those services for quite long. But still, the maximum monthly charge which I got, that was 200 to maximum 300 rupees. I'm not talking about dollars as well. Correct? So definitely it's cheap if you utilize it properly. Okay? But at the same time, if you have done a small mistake while utilizing this account, your bill could be $30,000 as well. So be careful. Okay? If you are doing it for learning purpose, or if you want to understand a particular service properly, then you have to use that service precisely, because Amazon is very smart in this utilization report. Okay, because in our utilization reports, they will charge the service. For example, if I launch an EC2 instance, okay, till 60 seconds, okay, if it is within 60 seconds, he would be charging on per second basis. Per second basis. Okay. After 1 minute, he will start charging per hour basis. Okay. That means what I did, I launched an EC2 instance for a couple of minutes, for exactly 2 or 4 minutes actually, and I stop it. Still you have to pay for 1 hour. Okay, because after that it is something, they are doing it on per hour basis, not per minute basis. Now there are some instances where you can charge per minute basis also, but by default Amazon is charging per hour basis. Hourly charges are there. So you can use it for 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 1 hour. They are going to charge you for entire hour for utilization. But within 60 seconds, they are doing charging based on seconds. The moment 1 minute is over, they will start charging based on hourly. So this is the thing which Amazon, not just Amazon, every cloud provider actually do have a same strategy to handle it. Correct? Because end of the day, whatever utilize, if you utilize more, that will definitely beneficial for the cloud provider. That much extra money they are able to get it. Correct? So remember that whenever you are creating free AWS account, okay, it will definitely ask you some credit card details or debit card details. Don't worry about that. It is only for authentication or authorization purpose they are asking you. Other than that, they will not going to charge you a single rupees if you are using all the free services for a year. After that also, whatever free services which is available from Amazon, those services would be keep it as a free. If additional services you want to use it, by default you would be working as on demand mode, so you would be able to charge based on hourly basis. And I told you what is the charging mechanism. If you are using EC2 instance, for example, and if you are running it for 60 seconds, till 60 seconds, the charges would be per second basis. The moment 60 seconds is over, the charges would be hourly basis. But remember that whether you are using it for 1 minute or 2 minutes, they are going to charge you for entire hour. Correct? Now remember that whenever you are creating a free account, and on that account where you are putting your financial details, remember the account wherever you are creating for the first time and where you are creating complete account with all financial details, that would be considered as a root account, or sometimes we can call it as master account. Okay, so whenever you are also creating a free account where you are putting your credit card details, that means you are technically creating the root account of your Amazon. Correct? Root account or a master account. Correct? So if you look at my Amazon console, okay, currently this is my root account which I have it. Okay, now currently I am logged in as a root account over here, and if you look at this side, okay, this is my account ID. This is a unique number which I have, which Amazon got created for me. Okay, by default the Mumbai is the nearest data center which I have it. So automatically he picked up the current location wherever you are, and he picked up the nearest region, not AZ, nearest region for that. So that is the Asia Pacific region which we have it, Mumbai. So here the Mumbai is by default region selected. So whenever you logged in as a root user, okay, it is going to ask you the root username and root password. Okay, that means whatever username and password when you set up, and once you logged in, you should be logged in this particular fashion. Now remember that root user means you are a super user, you are a master. Correct? In our organizations, whenever you are working on the top of Amazon, you will never ever get a root user account at all. Okay, only for you, for the lab session, when you create your own account with your own details of credit card and debit card, then only you would be able to get your root account. Okay, otherwise if you are a CIO, CTO or CEO of any particular company, then there is a possibility that you would be able to get an access of your root account. Otherwise, you are a cloud developer, you are a cloud lead or a cloud engineer, a person who is designing the solution architect, correct? Even we also design the solution architect, we are unable to get a root account from the client side. No, because this is the super user account which you are actually creating. Correct? Because this is very, very important account for you. I can do anything, literally I can create any service, whatever I want. I can use any particular service, deploy any service, any given point of a time because I am a super user. Okay, so even you, for practicing purpose also, okay, it is already recommended all the time, do not use your root account. Always try to use your normal account. I will tell you what that normal account is. Okay, and that account will help you to manage all the resources. Root account cannot be used to create a resources at all. Root account would be only going to use to handle the budgets, your cost, you're paying the bills, plus he should be creating some other delegate admins to create a user and profile for that. Other than that, you really don't require root account to be created. Okay, so if I look at the billing section over here, okay, I would be able to get the billing information over here, whatever current bill which I am using. Okay, now we are going to see complete details about it. Okay, what are the type of services which you can use it, how the bills are getting generated. We do have a dedicated session for billing and cost management. Now billing and cost, okay, you can see this is a global service. Okay, I told you the services, some services are running at globally, some services are region specific, some services are availability zone specific. So completely depend on that, you would be able to identify which service can be working where. Correct? Now, this service is not bounded to any region. This is a global. Okay, so this would be coming over here. I won't be able to switch anything because this is a global service which I'm using. Correct? Okay, so if I go to the console home, there is one more important fact which I need to talk about it. Now, if I go to this and I will go to my account. Now, my account will give me the multiple information over here. Okay, alternate contact, what are the AWS now by default. These are the few regions it is disabled. If I want, I can enable those regions. Okay, now in Bahrain, Africa, Hong Kong, or in Milan, there are some regions which is not by default enabled from you. Correct? So that information would be available over here. Correct? Now, I do not have any other plan or anything which I have used it right now. Correct? But currently, you would be able to see this is a basic information which is available. Okay, now if I go to here, okay, the moment I click on to that option called as my security credentials, indirectly you are using this service called as identity and access management. This is what I'm telling you. The moment you try to create an account, actually, you are actually using and utilizing the first service called as identity and access management of the Amazon. Because your root user by default a super user of your own service called as identity and access management. Correct? Now why I'm going to tell you or go to here, I went from here, I went this particular thing, I would be able to get this thing from my security credentials. Okay, so I'm looking for some settings of my security credentials, but those settings is nothing but identity and access management service. Correct? So remember that here I want to talk about this factor, multi-factor authentication. Okay, now this is very important, especially for the root accounts. Now that is for your personal thing. I told you in real life you won't be able to get a root account access at all until and unless you are a CIO, CTO of any particular company, because those people do have an access of it. But by default, currently, if you are using any type of personal account which you are using throughout your own credit card, then you are the root account of your Amazon actually. Then multi-factor authentication needs to be configured. Okay. Now there are multiple ways to do it. What I did personally, I did install a Google Authenticator utility on my laptop, on my cell phone actually. And with the help of that Google Authenticator utility, it is like an RSA, digital RSA algorithm working with the help of that application. So whenever I want to log in, I cannot just log in through username and password. He would ask me a specific RSA token number. Now that token number which I want to put it, correct? That token number is generated on my laptop automatically through that Google Authenticator application. It's a RSA algorithm running inside that application. If I put the same number for that particular timestamp, I would be able to log in. Otherwise, I won't be able to log in. Now, this is my MFA device. This is the device, means that application, which is currently in the sync with my multi-factor authentication service of my entire root account which I'm talking about. So if you look into this users, okay, currently you will feel that user is not created at this moment of time. Correct? Okay, because I told you that root is itself a user, but he is a super user, so the entry would be not available over here. Correct? The user's entry is not available directly into the IMA, but yes, that own root user would be controlled through our service called as identity and access management. Correct? Now when we discuss specially identity and access management, okay, then you will come to know that, but technically the root user which we have created, he is the part of identity and access management already. Identity and access management service would technically handle all authorization and authentication of that account by default. Correct? So understand, whenever you are going to create any type of root account, it is free. Don't worry about that. Don't hesitate to put the credit card information or debit card information over there. They are not going to charge you. However, it is always recommended for everyone. Try to use or try to make sure that whatever services you are using, it should be comes under the fee tier category. Okay, most of the time if you are using EC2 instance, the price of the EC2 instance, I told you, if you run it for 1 minute or if you run it for 1 hour, okay, if you are running till 60 seconds, the price would be based on seconds. Okay, the moment that price would be increased if you are trying to use it more than that, but they are going to charge you based on hourly. Correct? Now remember that whenever you are creating, for example, EC2 instance service, okay, if you stop the instance, okay, if you stop the instance, my Amazon will stop charging you. However, there is a catch. The catch means the storage which you have attached to your machine. Whether your instance is stopped, no doubt about it, Amazon will not charge you for the instance which was running. However, they will charge you for the storage where your data would be kept. Okay, so this is one more interesting thing which you need to consider. Correct. So understand, every time which we are using, okay, for example EC2 instance, for training purpose you are supposed to delete the volume attached to your EC2 instance all the time. Otherwise you feel that my instance is not running, but that is not the case. They are not charging for EC2 instance, they are charging for the hard disk which you are attached, which is still there. So it is always recommended for your practicing purpose, if you are using Amazon instance, you are supposed to create a specific EC2 instance and delete it. While deleting it, completely delete everything from there. Okay. Now this is the first service we are going to understand, which is called as identity and access management. Now here, this service actually do two very important roles. Okay. One is called as authentication. Authentication and authorization. I will give you a simple example which we are using. Okay. We do have an Active Directory as a service. Okay. When we are actually logged in to our Windows system, sometime it will ask me that type Control-Alt-Delete and type your username and password, or most of the time the password. We would be able to make you on connected to our Active Directory. Correct. So remember that the authentication do have multiple ways to handle it. So LDAP is one of the protocol which we can use it. Active Directory is also the protocol, or you can say Active Directory is a solution working on LDAP protocol who can give me the authentication, no doubt about it. Correct. Sometime that particular authentication which you are doing it required some authorization. Okay. Authorization means what roles I have it, what should I do or what should I not do. Permissions. So whenever I logged into my system as my username and a password, whether I am getting the root access or whether I am getting some access which is limited to any particular resource. Correct. So authentication and authorization of any specific user which you want to control it. Okay. It has to be done with identity access and access management. So if you look at this service at this moment of time, identity and access management, currently we do not have anything called as groups. We do not have any users. We do not have any rules, any policies. Correct. Currently it's blank. Okay. Now here we are supposed to create a user. We are supposed to create a specific roles. Correct. Now how we can do this? Now remember, this is the business case which we have taken. Correct. Okay, this is a business case. So I decided that specific services. We designed the solution. You can see that finally I convinced the customer. Okay, this is Amazon is the good solution provider. You can deal with the Amazon with the multiple factors, and the charges you will get, which is a complete discount for it. Correct. So what my customer is going to do it, customer is going to create an account, okay, the way you're supposed to do it, okay, with the help of username, password, first name, email address, whatever you require it in order to create an account. You can follow that particular thing. Correct. So my customer will create an account, and while doing that he was selected the first option called as this is the root user of it, and this is on demand services you are using it, so he would be the root of that particular account. Now if I want to work on the same account, I cannot ask him please provide me the root password. No, he won't be able to do or provide me the root access password. Okay, what he will do for me, he will create a user called as Mangesh in IAM service. Okay, so what he will do it, he will create a user, okay, and whose name is Mangesh, and this particular user I will provide some access methods to it, because there are two different way to access my Amazon, correct? So based on those logging mechanism, I should be able to provide that authentication. Means single authentication could be working for any type of services, correct? Now remember that I am creating a user only, okay, and I'm creating the authentication for that user, okay, but currently I'm not talking about any authorization of that user at all, correct? Now remember that we are supposed to create an authorization for this particular user also. Now inside Amazon we do have a concept called as policies. Okay, these policies are nothing but a JSON document. Now inside that JSON document we do have all permissions are created. Now there are some by default policies are available in the form of JSON document. I can utilize those policies to provide the authorization. Now authorization means what that particular person can do with the help of this username and password on the top of AWS account you have created. So you are a root, but I am sharing my root access to somebody else with the help of IAM, username and password. So you would be logged in as a root. By default you have a complete control on it, but at the same time you also had one more opportunity that every time you can do any kind of activity, he would be considered anything through this authorization parameter. Now what we can do it, we will create a user and we will provide some policy. I'm attaching a JSON document into that, which is by default created from Amazon side. Okay, after that I will tell you that you can also create your own policy with the help of JSON file, or with the help of this dashboard also we can create a simple document of the JSON, and you can attach that document and put it into that user. Ultimately that user will get a specific authorization only, correct? So if I say, you can look at this complete list over here. Okay, this is a quite big list, and if you can see this filter policy, it is AWS managed. Now these are all AWS managed policies. You would be able to see it over here. If you keep resolving that, that number will keeps increasing, correct? So complete policy list are available. If you look into any particular policy, for example, there is a policy called as EMR. Now here you would be able to see the JSON document, how that particular policy would be written in a JSON format. Okay, now this is the policy summary, okay, which access is available for this particular EMR access policy. Means what permissions are available inside this particular policy, what are the type of permissions, who is the one who is going to provide this permission, every details would be available over here, correct? Now we are also going to create a user. We are going to assign a specific policy to that, and after that we are going to assign whether the policy which I have attached to it, it's running on a simple policy creation and authorization mechanism or not. Okay, so let's do it. First of all, let me ask you, all of you, that how many of you got an account? How many of you already have account for Amazon with you? Okay, if you do not have an account, you can simply sign into the Amazon free of cost. Okay, if you want, and you can create an account. Most of the people already have an account, so definitely you guys already put your credit card details to it, so you got an access of a root account with you, correct? So currently, if you try to log into your Amazon account, that would be the root user account, and you would be able to see the same dashboard, the one which I am getting at this moment of time, correct? So if you are going to this particular dashboard, okay, this is how it looks like. And if you look at the right hand side of it, you would be able to see the name should be look like this. Okay, and if I look at this, you would be immediately going to see what is the unique identification number for your account, correct? So once you logged in, by default, this would be the internal, or this would be the information or dashboard which you are able to get it. Okay, now we are going to create a user right now. Okay, now this user is actually the user which also going to log in to Amazon with all your root privileges, correct? I said with your all your root privileges, but he is not the root. Okay, he is subset of that root, correct? So root account is typically, I told you, you won't be able to get the access of it in real life. Even for your practicing purpose, we are also following the same standard. We are not supposed to log in as a root, but remember that while you want to configure the root, multi-factor authentication should be enabled, because that is very much mandatory for every account. Okay, once you logged in, you can go to this services. Okay, under this particular services, if you go to security related services, this dashboard is changed. The best way what you can do it, simply type IAM. Okay, okay, you would be able to get this service over here. Now I am accessing those services quite often, so I would be able to see this service into the recently visited service option. So either I can go it from here, no doubt about it. Once you are able to log in, this would be the dashboard you would be able to get it. So you are a root account. Now you are going to create another user who can log in on behalf of you with the username and password authentication if you want. Plus, if you want that user to become a cluster admin, you can make it as a cluster admin as well. So what I will do it, I will go to the user section. Currently I do not have any user. I would say add user. I would say the username is Mangesh. Now this particular Mangesh user, you are going to create it on this root user. Then the second question he's going to ask you, okay, how this Mangesh user can log in? Okay, so I can give this Mangesh user two type of access method, a programmatic access and AWS management console access. Maybe this Mangesh user would be act like a senior administrator of my cloud solution provider, correct? So what I can do it, I would provide him the console access. Okay, that means whatever console which we are able to see it, the same console which he can able to get it, plus I can give the access for programmatic. Now I am doing both the access right now. In real life, you have to decide it. So Mangesh is Mangesh is one of the administrator of your cloud. So he would do all the activity through the console of your particular thing, or sometime he would be doing the activity with the help of command line, correct? So he can do both the things without any problem if I provide him the username and password as a authentication method or access method. But some people are developers, some people are doing some development of APIs which they can use to connect to the AWS cloud, correct? In that cases, I do not want to provide them a username and password. I will provide them a access key and secret access key. Okay, so with the help of these two keys, they would be able to get authenticated and they would be able to get connected properly. So anyway, if you are a developer or programmer who is actually creating an application, which is a cloud-centric application, and he want an access to a cloud which you are using, we will recommend you to give you the access as a programmatic fashion. We will not provide you a complete username and password. We will provide you the secret key as well as access key with you. You are a system administrator. You would be handling your cloud in a near future. Then you should be able to log into your console through the web-based activity. Then you should get a username and a password based authentication. So this has to be configured, or this has to be managed and maintained by your organization, that which access would be provided to whom and what type of access would be provided to that, whether some kind of a key based access or some kind of a web based access. But majority, both the access you are not supposed to provide to anyone. Now right now I am doing it for a testing purpose or for training purpose, but in real life you should only allow a user to either access in a programmatic fashion, or either you can access it through the console side. Either way, do not allow them to do it on a both. Okay, but the moment I configured on this part, he will ask me, please provide the custom password for AWS management console, because access key and secret access key would automatically get generated. You just need to download it. Okay, I will tell the password also. Okay, so this is the password which is mentioned. Now this is the second option which you require to provide if you are doing it on the production side. User must create a new password at a next login. That means this Mangesh user, whenever he want to log in, okay, the first thing what he can do it, he can set up his own password, correct? Now this is a very good information which you can do it, because whatever he want to do it, he can do it by doing login through his himself. Even you can create a multi-factor authentication if you want. Okay, but currently we don't require this particular option to be enabled. I would say next. Now currently I do not want this particular user to be part of any group. Okay, there should not be any permission or policy attached to this. Right now I would say tag. Now tag is optional. I will come to the tag when we discussed few different type of methods. Now you can see create user. I have created the user. Now this is an access key and secret access key which you are getting. You just need to copy and provide this CSV file if you want to that user. Okay, and that user can log into any other programmatic fashion. He can use this particular secret key and access key over there. Now sometime what happen if that user which you are using, okay, they will lose the key or they will sometime won't be able to find out the key. Okay, that time also you can definitely change this particular key actually, because here also you would be able to get an access key but security key won't be able to available over here. So in that case what you can do it, you can make this key as an deactivated it. You can create a new access key over here, it provide this new access key to that particular user, then he could start creating, okay, and make it this particular thing. Currently it is active. This is the one which you can use it. The rest of the key you can keep it inactive. So this is something which you need to precisely maintain, because that security key won't get displayed once you have removed it. It will never get displayed anywhere. Okay, so you have to download and maintain that file with you all the time. Correct? If I want to go for multi-factor authentication also, you can do that as well. Now you can see this is the console login link which is provided. Okay, I want to log in to the console. Mangesh user was created, correct? But Mangesh user, how he is going to log in? Okay, so this is the link. This is the console link through which Mangesh user should be able to log in. So what I can do it, I do have Google Chrome open. Now I am precisely using two different browsers to handle this. Look at this URL carefully. I am trying to log in as a IMA user. You will see this is my 12-digit account ID. Which account ID I am talking about? Okay, the account ID over here. This account ID and this account ID is identical. So it is already, I told you, the user which we are going to create, it is a subset of your root user which you are trying to create it. So whenever I try to log in with any IMA user, I cannot directly log in as a console. Okay, there is a specific URL which you are going to use it in order to connect you with IMA username and a password. So here I can type IMA username as Mangesh. I will type the password which I have created and I should be able to sign in. Now look at this login. Mangesh @ this is my customer ID. Correct? IMA user is Mangesh. Now this is my root login. Okay, I told you that if you are a root, you would be able to get at my account option over there directly. Okay, but if you are using IMA user, you would be able to get the login in this particular fashion. Okay, you have the user created. However, the only important thing which we have missed, that we have not gave him any kind of a authorization. Authentication is done. authorization, we haven't done it. So if I look into EC2, okay, you will get an API error. Okay, why this API error is coming? Because you are not authorized to access this. Okay, I can go ahead. Okay, issue encountering the data. Okay, so if I logged in to S3 bucket, okay, it should not, okay, you don't have a permission to list the bucket because I did configure the user called as Mangesh, but remember that we have not authorized him for anything. So user is created, but we have not provided any type of authentication, or authentication would be provided. Authorization won't have anything running at this moment of time. Okay, so we need to create a authorization for that particular user. So what I will do it, I will simply log out. Okay, I will go back to the console one more time. Now you can see under the permission section, no permission has been added. Okay, he is not a member of any group. I will tell you what is a group concept is also available. And I will say add permission over here. I would say add existing policies which is available, and I will provide him, okay, read only access. Okay, filter the policy, I would say AWS manage. Now there are some job role functions they are giving you. Now there is view only access is available. So this access which I am allocating to Mangesh. So Mangesh is the user. The currently permission is I am attaching this policy document to this user. According to this policy document, you will have complete read access. Okay, that means you would be able to read something. Okay, you won't be able to write anything. Okay, so if I try to log in as a Mangesh user one more time, okay, yeah, I'm typing the same password, no problem. Some mistyping has happened over here. So I will try to log into that user one more time. Okay, I will come out of it, go to the user. This is a user. Okay, I would be going to the security credentials. Okay, I will say custom password. I am going to type the username and password one more time. Maybe I don't know, but okay, I'm just resetting my password. Okay, so this is the console login. I would say copied. I will go to the Google Chrome and I'm going to put the URL over here. Okay, so I'm trying to log in now on MGSH and password for this. I'm able to log into my console. Now this time I got on view access. Okay, I won't be able to create any instance, but this time I'm able to get no API errors. Okay, I'm able to see something which is running on it. But if I try to launch it, for example, I would like to try to launch Amazon Linux. Okay, this is a machine which we are trying to launch it. Now I know that it is not going to launch anything at this moment of time. Okay, so it should throw me error. Okay, we will create a new pair key. I would say Mangesh. Okay, download key pair. You're not provided to authorize this particular. You got an error over here. Okay, you're not authorized to perform this operation. Why? Because we are created you as a user and we are actually giving you view access only. So you do not have an access to create a specific key. Actually, you cannot write something. You can read everything. Okay, you can list everything. However, you won't be able to modify any objective because all the reading permissions would be available over here. Correct? Now remember that if I do the read permission, that means he won't be able to do anything at this moment of time. Okay. Now if I go back to my original console, okay, and if I go to the permission section, I will remove this permission, or I will say detach. I will attach the permission from the existing group, and I would say administrator access. I would say review, add permissions. Now your user would have the administrator access. Now that means I'm going to log back in again. Okay. Now this particular user do have an administrator access right now. That means he would be able to do anything right now. Okay, I will launch the instance. Okay, T2 Micro is you all are going to use this one, which is free. Remember that. Okay, now the instance would get launched. Okay, so if I go here, what happened? Okay, this is my template. This is the T2 Micro. This is review, add storage. Don't require it. Next tag. Security groups, I don't, we will discuss these things later on. Okay, key pair is not found. I am going to create the new key pair because I do have a key pair already configured on some other account. I will create a key pair for here. Now this time I should not get an error because last time I do not have an ability. Now you can see this time I am able to do the key pair option over here without any hesitation, and I would say launch the instance. Now you can see the instance would get launched immediately. once you have submitted the request. Now that means this user can do anything. This is Mangesh, but this Mangesh do have a cluster administrator policy attached, so he can do anything right now. Correct? So this is how we can create a specific user, and based on that specific user, I can attach the policy. Now, whatever policy which we have attached, that is a simple policy where we are just providing a specific permissions to a Mangesh user that he can do it. Now you can see I have created this instance right now. This instance is currently in the running stage right now. Okay, so if you can go ahead, this is a complete instance information. Now if I want to delete this instance, I can do it because I am going to be a cluster admin, so I can stop this instance. Okay. I would say terminate this instance. Okay. Okay, but remember I told you, if you have done this, okay, your storage is still available. Okay, that is the problem. Okay, so if I go to EBS, let him, okay, now it is showing terminated. Now this particular EC2 instance has been terminated from your particular thing. Okay, so currently we do not have that particular thing. Now if I go to the volume section, okay, I do not have any volume, so I believe that we have selected the option over there which would be saying that if I delete this particular instance, if I terminate that instance, actually it would also terminate your volume as well. That option is already there, but I will show you when we deal with EC2 service. But currently we are talking and focusing about my particular IMA service. Okay, so I have to create a user, I need to attach a policy, I need to generate the key, I need to set up the password. Okay, so these are all activity would be provided on the top of IMA service. Okay, so I would once again logged in, I logged out, and I will try one more method over there. Correct? So you can see every time if I would like to do anything regarding the users, I need to go over here. Now this is not the right way to handle the users. Okay, so what is the right way? The right way that first we have to create a groups. Now groups is a logical container of your user. So whatever permissions or policy which you have attached to a group, and if I'm the member of that particular group, ultimately all the policies and object and permissions which is available for the group, it is almost, or you can say always, inherited to the users which we are using inside that group. Correct? So remember that directly creating a user, it is not a good choice. Now for training purpose, I am going to tell you that particular method. However, in a production level, we are not using this method at all. Okay, so I would be deleting this particular user. Okay, so definitely I'm going to delete this. Okay, the delete activity is happening. It has been gone. So first, always remember, in Identity and Access Management Console, the best practice would be I am supposed to create a group. Okay, currently there is no group available at this moment of time. Correct? Remember that every time based on your requirement, okay, there would be a group associated over there, correct? So remember that first we will create a group as per the standard practice. I would say this is a syst admin group. Okay, now this could be any group up to maximum character 128, which is mentioned over there. This is any group name which you can create it. Okay, now if you want to attach any particular policy to this particular group, you can attach the policy, or you can later on, if you want to attach any particular policy, you can do it, no problem, correct? So what I will do it, I will attach a policy at this moment of time. I will show you one more time how we can attach the policy later on and how we can customize the policy also. Next, and you can simply say create a group. Now group would be created over here, but currently I do not have any user attached to it, correct? So if I want to attach a user, what I will do it, I will create a user. Okay, if you have already existing user, that is also fine, no problem at all, but I have deleted that user, so I'm creating the user one more time. So I would say Mangesh is the user which I am going to create it. I am going to provide him the console access. I'm supposed to provide him the custom password, and I'm providing him a proper username and a password. Go ahead. Now he is asking you add a user to a group. Okay, so while creating a user, he is asking me that the user which you are going to create, would you want that particular user to be the part of a group? Yes, if I want, I can do it from here also. Or if I want to add the user later on, you can add the user later on also. So currently I would say no, I don't want to be the part of a group. I simply create it. Now there is no user permission because the permission is already attached to the group. So we do not require any permission to be attached to a user. Okay, if I attach a permission to a user and if there is a permission attached to the group, okay, the permission could get overwritten sometimes. So that is not a good idea. So you can see the user got created over there, which is nothing. We have it. This is a groups. Okay, the group is available sysadmin. Now you can see currently the permission is nothing but administrator access is attached to this group. Currently we do not have a user. I would say add user. This is the Mangesh. Add user. So currently this particular user is the part of that particular group. Okay, and whatever permissions which is available inside that particular group, it's ultimately available to these users who are the part of that particular group. Now you can say Access Advisor. Now this is an additional utility which is available where you can actually run this utility to find out what exactly permissions which you are given, how he can analyze the permission. There are many things which you can do. So here I have created a group, and whatever permission attached to the group, ultimately those permissions is coming to a user, correct? Now there is very interesting fact is available that is called as policies. Now these are the by default policies which is available inside your specific AWS console. Now these policies are created by AWS. Now if I want to create my own policy, yes, you can do that. You can create your own policy by clicking on create policy. Now if I know the JSON format properly, I can completely write down the entire policy in the JSON format. Okay, now there are many parameters which we can do it. There is a many condition which we can pass it on. Okay, if I would like to create a visual editor over here, if I want to create a particular policy based on the visual editor also, you can again create those particular policies also here. So if we can go ahead, and if I want to create a policy for S3, so I can simply type S3 over here. So this is the name of the service. Okay. After that, I should say list and read. That means I'm creating a policy where the user can only go and list and read. List means I would be able to get all the list of the S3 buckets in front of it, and read means if I would like to go and click on any particular bucket, I should be able to go inside it. Correct. Now if I'm doing it with the help of a graphical visualized way, he is going to ask me each and every questions over here. Then he is going to ask me, okay, please tell me what is a different type of resources you want to access it. Correct. So based on this, all the actions, actually you are supposed to create a policy. So finally you would be able to get some document over here. Okay, we need to provide all this information. Grant access policy. You can see all these parameters which you need to provide. Okay, there is a parameter called as object. There is a parameter called as bucket name. Okay, so bucket is the important parameters which we can pass it on. Okay, so what we can do it first before we create a policy, we will create a bucket. Okay, we will demonstrate a simple object over here. We will create a bucket called as Pune, and we already have a group also available there. There is a Pune is one of the bucket, Mumbai is another bucket which we can create it, and according to the policy we will create a policy that a user can only get some list, but he won't be able to upload anything into that S3 bucket. Now this is a JSON policy we are going to create it, and another user which is able to do anything whatever they required. Correct. So this is an activity we are going to perform it on the top of identity and access management console. Correct. Now before we do that, it is almost 1 o'clock. What we will do, we will take a lunch break over here. Okay. Once we will come from the lunch break, we will once again step by step going to create each and every object under the category of IAM, and once again we would be available how we can create a group, how the permission policy can be created, how we will attach a policy to a group, then how we are going to add a user to the group. Correct. So all end to end things we are going to do it. Correct. Okay, I will do this once we will come from our break time. Actually, I will explain each and every step. Don't worry about that. So go for a break for 40 minutes or 45 minutes would be enough. Okay. So once we will come back, I will once again going to show you the complete flow which we are actually doing it inside the production servers. So I told you directly creating a user,